go.
So just in case you're trying to figure out the linkage of all of this,
we're doing a weave here.
Yeah, we really started talking with Joey Woo, and we're still a reason why I brought him up.
Yeah,
we're going to get to that in a second. And that opened up the door to the Volkswagens that he used to drive, and he's now driving a Volkswagen rental, which he prefers. And then that got us off track talking more about Volkswagens and Glenn's days working at a butcher and then as a delivery guy for a Chinese food restaurant.
Yeah.
And we're still in the land of the VW.
We're back to a Golf with buttons all over it that don't make sense. So he's got this red button, right?
How big?
Just like, one of those Top Gun toggle.
Oh, you had to flip up
on the dash. And this, I mean, he's clearly spent a bit of money on this car, and he was known for always having a decent car, like I say. He's older than me, so I'm probably 19.
All right.
Right, he's 23, 24, something like that.
He's an old man.
To me at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what's the switch for? I was like, is it kill switch for it? He's like, no, it's NOS, nitrous. Like, really? Yeah. So I said, is it plumbed in, or is it something you're still thinking of doing? So I'm thinking, well, there's no tanks anywhere. There's no fire extinguisher anywhere. This could be a problem. Like, so maybe he's not finished it yet, and it's just, it came free with a copy of Max Power, and he's just stuck it on his dashboard. No, it's plumbed in, ready to go, and and pulls the glove box down. He said, I've still got to run the tubes properly, but you can see, you can see them going around. I'm like, all right. So we're driving. I'm like, let's have a go with it then. So he's like, I'll do it. So we're coming down out of the village Homewood, and you get to a roundabout, and there's an industrial estate that you can turn left onto, and it's relatively quiet at night. So like, we'll go down here and do it. And you go down there, he flicks the switch, makes a big deal out of it as well, and then presses the button and says, let me just check something. Gets out, gets in the back, in the boot. I'm sat in the car. Comes back in, sits down, and then whatever happened was basically nothing. He then does the same thing driving down the road, but just dumps the clutch while he's full throttle, and then pops the clutch back up really fast. Oh, did you feel it? Oh, mate, I felt you press the clutch in. I'm 19, not 9. I know what the difference is. So this guy, who's clearly older than me, is trying to make out he's delivering takeaway in his car that's got NOS on it, and then thinks that he can trick me by dumping the clutch down.
So it didn't have nitrogen.
It didn't have NOS on it, no, definitely not. I mean, I never got out and checked in the back if there was something, maybe he realised he'd run out and he was embarrassed to say, but I doubt it. Yeah. It definitely didn't. But yeah, the things people do that they put in their cars, and most of them, the switches came free with something. The red gear knob that they bought.
So we've talked about this in the past, and it still connects through with the switches and mods that we do on cars.
Yeah.
The days of modifying the stereo, they're gone.
I know. Well,
because they're all built in now to the electronic systems and the flat screens, and I mean the guts and the technology must be in there somewhere, but you can't just decide, I don't want this.
Every manufacturer's got a full one-piece dashboard that it molds into, and you can't. Yeah,
I don't want the Harman Kardon. I want to have a Blaupunkt. Yeah, it ain't happening because you can't do that.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember when we had our Golf Cabriolet, and we even had a stereo that you pulled out so it wouldn't get stolen.
Yeah, with the keys that you pull it out. Yeah.
So you go into someone's house, you got your stereo in your hand. It's like, really?
Yeah, I still worked at VW. I worked there when we still saw some of the older models coming in that had been spec'd without.
Yeah.
It wasn't till the sort of late 80s really that became that you're going to have
whatever
you're going to have stereo in it. Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned the Windows earlier. It wasn't until sort of the 2000s, mid 2000s that electric windows were
on everything.
A sort of a basic option.
I'm trying to remember. No, I remember when we moved here, we got a Galloper. So like a 1998, 95 Hyundai Galloper, and it actually had electric windows, and I think it was one of the first cars we had electric windows in our life.
Yeah,
and I mean the buttons kept breaking, but it was a novelty. Yeah, it was like leather seats and electric windows. Yeah. Whoa!
I mean, it's a shame with the stereo. It's a shame with the in-car entertainment now, because the only mods people can sort of do now is to add Android The only thing that people care about is adding Android or CarPlay. You know.
So I'm wondering if, and maybe someone's missed this, or it's there and I just don't know because my cars don't have any of those options. But with the apps that you can get, can you buy an app that is a new stereo?
So most stereos now, if you take the Wrangler as an example, we would take out what's there, replace it with Tesla style screen, which is just a single screen, and you would have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, and you'd use whichever your phone was right for, and connect it and phone mirror. It's not the best system.
Just running off your phone. It's going to be Spotify or Google Play. Or
and that's all people care about. I can remember buying, and okay, I was 17, 18, I get it. But I remember the hours I spent deciding what stereo to buy for my Polo.
Am I getting a Panasonic? Am I getting a whatever?
And all I wanted was the loudest possible, so I just waited till I found one that had a four output stereo that had 52 watt speaker outputs, because that was the highest you could get at the time. Yeah. And then I wanted a 1,000 watt amp.
Yep.
And
got my preamp in the back. I remember seeing guys with cars in the back. They've got all sorts of amplifiers and the subwoofer and
which 6x9s to go for.
And the back window would have the big boxes sitting there.
Yeah. It was a big deal, right?
Those were the days.
People don't do that, and because you don't. You see, I had a £300 car with £1,200 worth of stereo in it.
Yeah.
People don't do that anymore.
No.
I mean, it's stupid. But at the same time, I loved that car because I'd invested a lot of time and thought and money into it.
Yeah.
And now, again, something else that the mobile phones killed, really.
Well, I guess if you're buying a high end, you're buying a Lincoln Navigator or something. They've got 42 speakers throughout the car, or Rolls Royce,
the Cadillacs that have speakers in the seats, and the sound systems are unmatched, and they've all got subwoofers in, and they've all got this and that in. And
then you don't need, but it's the base spec.
Yeah, but there's the car is very sterile.
Yeah,
and it sort of goes back to the gearbox conversation at the start. That the fact that there's very little now you can do to affect how a car drives. And then the UK are talking about, I don't know if it's got anywhere yet, but talking about having a law that means that all cars sold have to be able to have speed controls on them that can be governed by the road authority and the police.
It's coming.
You've already got it with a lot of cars, but I remember Ford were the ones that made a big deal out of it, where you can have let's say you go and buy a Navigator and you get 2 keys with it, and you want your son to be able to go and pick his girlfriend up in it because it's big, it's safe, and you're not buying him another car because he's only going to wreck it, whatever. You give him a key which you've already programmed on the dashboard will only allow the car to 3,000 RPM and 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So it's already there. And the fact that they're talking about mandating that, and you can have your.
Imagine they do that here. I think it might be a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea for road safety, but I just feel like
I just think with the amount of control that could actually be put in place, because everything now is always all our cars are connected to the grid.
Yeah, the problem is it's the slippery slope.
It is.
Where does it stop?
Yeah.
The thing that they should do, and I wouldn't have any problem with, the thing that they should do is make a car electronically, so not physically, because that would be a problem in the case of maybe an accident or something like that, but electronically unable to send and receive.
Yeah.
That to me would make much more sense than an enforced speed limits, because if you had an emergency and you needed to make a call, you could get out the car and you could do that. If there was an accident, that just like an airbag, that system would go off and you could make a call. You could, these things are there. I mean, you've got to. It's all right saying, well, what if there's a problem at the school and the school need to call me? Well, unfortunately, when I was at school, my parents didn't have mobile phones.
There's a landline.
They were very rarely in the house to take a landline call. So
Yeah.
the time
we made do. You got a contact number there. You go sit in the nurse's room, and
it's just something else that the mobile phones damage driving. It's a genuine problem, and I don't think necessarily that the speed people drive at I don't think that's a bigger problem than distraction. I genuinely don't think that's a bigger problem than distraction. And also what people don't realize is, especially as you get older, if you're focusing down on a blue light screen like that, and then looking up, some people take a while to adjust the focus.
Absolutely.
And the reaction time and everything else.
Oh, no, there's the whole, you put your phone down, it's on your, for sure.
So I don't, I think that would be a much better thing to mandate than enforce speed limits. That I mean, it's there. The tech is there. That it would be literally a changing of a few zeros to a few ones on a software, because so many cars that you drive now that have 360 cameras, lane change assist, lane hold, front and rear radar, everything. They pick up the speed limit signs on the side of the road.
They're reading it, and the AI is looking at your.
So it's only a matter of changing a code. That it's there already. It's a feature that just needs to be sort of turned on. But that's a slippery slope. That, and where does it stop? I think it's much better to have it that you can't use a phone in a car. That's how it is.
Yeah.
No one goes swimming. No one goes into a swimming pool and expects to be able to make phone calls swimming. Right? That's just how it is. Yeah. So why should it be any different?
But people don't swim anymore because they can't be on the phone.
No one goes swimming to the phone. There's something else the phone's ruined. Yeah. But, I just think a car should be able to have that.
So circling all the way back, Joey Woo Woo is considering buying a car for his daughter. He'll use things for her first car, first drive. And the first thing that makes me laugh about Joey Woo's thinking is, he's talking to everyone. He's talking to you. He's talking to me. He's asking me to talk to you. And you sent him some stuff because he's thinking, nostalgically, he'd love her to have a Golf, a Volkswagen, and for good reason. Safe car, got a little oomph. It's all these things. And then he's talking about other things, the Chevy Spark and whatnot. So small. He's looking at something small. And the thing that makes me laugh is, has he asked her?
Yeah.
And maybe she doesn't want a car, or maybe she's indifferent, or maybe she's looking and saying, actually, I know exactly what I want. I want to have, like Mom, I want to have a Veloster, to rock around with.
Yeah.
Or a Kia Stinger. Just
yeah.
Okay, maybe not a Kia Stinger, but
Kia Stinger won't be a bad one.
It'd be,
yeah. Imagine that as your first car.
Imagine. Or maybe she want to be like Dad, and she wants to have a pickup truck, but maybe just a small one. one of those Ford Ranger style things, or who knows?
Yeah.
But I just laugh, not because because he's doing the right thing. He's being a great dad. He's thinking about buying his daughter a car, but he hasn't asked her what kind of car she might be interested in.
I think it's kind of it's kind of acceptable when it's a first car, unless there's a severe lack of let's say meeting of ideas on the what car you're going to have. I mean, I never really had a particular car I wanted. I just knew I wanted a VW.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't going to get a Golf GTI.
Everyone wanted a GTI,
but I
just
got
the rims.
But I
Forget
got
the
a
rest
Polo.
of it. The rims, and you just see the rims, and those were GTI had those iconic rims.
Yeah, but I got a Polo, and that was that.
Okay.
And that was enough for me. 1 litre Polo, and it was fine.
Nice.
But if Joey's running around expecting to get his daughter a hatchback, and like you say, she might have aspirations of a pickup, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah, you never know.
It's going to be a problem.
So we'll let yet to be determined where this all goes.
Well, it could go interesting. This could be a soap opera.
Yeah, I think it could be.
Yeah. I mean, I said to him, if he's going down the Golf route, it makes sense. And there's certain ones to go for, and certain ones, obviously, you forget, especially because of the way cars have been sort of took leaps forward over the sort of 21st century. You forget when you talk about a car from the early 2000s that it's 20 years old.
Yeah.
You forget.
I know. I
You
mean,
know?
that's I always forget that with mine.
Yeah.
I mean, we're 2024 heading to 2025. I'm driving
Yeah.
2009 vintage
Yeah.
vehicles. They're
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
Like they are.
You forget.
Well, and in my mind, because I'm now looking to unload them, and I'm thinking, oh man, I could probably get some nice coin or whatever. And then I realize I'm not going to get any coin for these. I mean, you'll get something, but it's what you always have in your mind of value and things, and it's like, yeah, that ain't going to happen actually.
Yeah. But you've also got the fact that it's a bit different with the Wrangler because not much changed over 40 years. But
Golf,
there's big differences
Yes.
between the Mark 5 and the Mark 8. There are no
it's crazy actually the difference.
interchangeable parts. There's nothing that you could get even from a 7 to an 8. There's not that many.
What were they thinking in that sense? Because that just doesn't speak Volkswagen to me. They're
Well,
usually
you
very-
see, the thing with the Golf is they used to last for ages.
Yeah.
Let me have a. I mean,
that was the reason everyone wanted. We called them rabbits back home.
yeah,
But that's why you always wanted one, because you had that really sweet gearbox that was so tight. So even if you were driving base entry level, no gadgets, no gizmos,
yeah,
it still gave you that feel of driving a little sports car.
yeah. It's you see, the problem is like you have a Mark 1 Golf, and then you have a Mark 2 and a Mark 3. But like, if you look at the difference in time that it took from the Mark 4 Golf in the 90s all the way into the 2000s, then you've got like the Mark 7, which only went a few years really.
Yeah.
And the Mark 6 even less, although the Mark 6 was a bit more of a Mark 5 with a facelift really. But you've had the fact that a Mark 1 and a Mark 2 had massive differences. If you take a Mark 1 which ran for 9 years and then a Mark 2 which ran for 8 years, a Mark 3 which ran for 6 years, you can see where it's going. The Mark 4 did 6 years. The Mark 5, the Mark 6, the Mark 8 is done for.
Yeah.
Not doing it anymore. Thanks.
Yeah.
But, it's just how it is. So it says you got 4 years out of the Mark 6. It was a bit of a facelift to the Mark 5. I get it. But even if you account for that, the Mark 5 to Mark 6 only ran for 9 years. And, well, the first two did that anyway.
Yeah.
So you've got the two models there. Then, the Mark 7 did 7 years effectively. But, there's so many special models towards the end of it. And we're into 4 or 5 years on the Mark 8 already. But, they like to be completely different. And because of technology, they sort of have to be to sell.
Yeah, sure. Parts change.
Yeah.
The composition of parts change.
And also from a company like VW.
Got to stay relevant.
But also, the Golf and the A3 and the A4 and the Passat, and they all swap and share parts. The Tiguan, the T-Roc, they all swap and share parts. So within the...
I got it. Going back to Suzuki for a second. The Franks and the T-Roc, two great names.
They're not well named. I mean, it's the same person
T-Roc.
that named them.
The T-Roc.
No, it's ridiculous. The thing about that,
T-Roc.
I don't know where it's come from. I remember when the Scirocco was a concept car, and they just used the IROC from the middle of the word Scirocco, I-R-O-C. But then, let it go, guys.
I want to get a job as a car naming guy.
Rock is one of those. It's such an uncool word to say.
I thought at first it was The Rock had a car named after him, and then it turned out no, it's not.
He wouldn't even fit in it.
Mr. T and The Rock.
Imagine, definitely won't fit in it.
The A-Team.
Yeah, I ain't getting in no T-Roc. There's no joy from that name. Although it's a good car. To be fair, the value for money on it.
Well, you want to get the Skoda version.
But then that's what I would say.
And that's got a great name too.
And also, though, if you've got T-Roc money, you could go one model up in the Skoda.
Yeah.
And you could get the Tiguan equivalent in the Skoda, which I forget the name of it, and really spec it out.
Yeah.
Have a bigger car, better spec, more comfort, and only spending the same money as you spent on a T-Roc.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
That's where I'd go. That's what I would be doing.
What's going on in the garage? I was like, there's a bike repair truck over there with the whole front end gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't recognize it at first, and then I looked over, and it's like half the engine's gone
It's
too.
like everyone probably thinks it's a garage's dream, but it's not. It's the worst. One of the worst things that can happen is when a car comes to you that's been to another garage and they're blaming that garage.
Oh no!
And then you have to check and find out. Yeah, it's the worst thing ever. That because nobody likes. Well, I'm sure there's a certain type of person that does, but nobody likes to talk down a professional of the same trade.
Right.
It just seems too convenient of an excuse to me at times as well. I don't like the thought of it, the optic that it.
Yeah, because if they're doing it to that person, they don't like something you do. They're just going to say, "Wow, those guys over there, power work."
You get back what you put out there, I think, and So yeah, it came in overheated, and it had been overheated in the summer. It had been for a head gasket replacement, and from what we can see, we obviously don't know for sure, but it looks like the head wasn't ever machined.
Oh,
and it's just never sealed properly, and
so
it needs an engine basically.
That's it.
And
is that a viable thing? It looks like quite the rig.
You see, they can obviously earn money with it on the road.
Yeah.
They can't earn anything with it off the road. So every day that it takes to make a decision on it is a loss.
And so are they waffling now back and forth? Do I do the engine? Do I not do the engine?
It's a matter of, actually, from their point of view, I think, because they're sort of on the, well, do we go for a second-hand engine or do we go for a new engine?
Right.
I wouldn't go for the new engine just because there's a lot of other unknowns. We still don't know why engine overheated in the first place.
Yeah.
So, we could have a situation where, it wasn't just because the head gasket wasn't sealed in properly. It could be the fact that something else has failed. It might need an electric fan.
Yeah.
So we spend 50,000 dirhams plus, and we don't know the price of the engine yet for a new one. Getting an engine, then we have to spend another 5, 6, 7 on it. Then maybe it goes down the road and there's an AC problem. We've never driven it, so we don't know what other issues there are. Maybe there's a suspension issue. Maybe
there's going to be a whole bunch of issues.
It's been off the road for how long, so it's probably going to need tyres.
Yeah.
So this 50k for an engine, and again, it could be more than that, we don't know, can soon become 75, 80. Okay, and let's say it earns money, but it's going to take a long time to earn that money back, and during that time it's doing other jobs and this, that, and the other could fail.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, you're probably talking 30k even with a used engine, though.
Yeah. And in the meantime, it's taking up space in your garage.
Yeah.
It's a huge vehicle.
Yeah, it's a big one. Yeah, it's a big one. It's, again, similar to what we said with the Opel. It's been a Peugeot. There are a lot more Peugeots than Opels here, but it's still hard to get parts for them.
Crazy.
Still hard to get parts for them, and everything has to come in from France. And they're not going to put an engine on a plane. That's going to come on a boat.
Yeah, well, that means that's quite the route. Nothing's going through the Suez.
We've got 10-week shipping time now. It used to be 3 or 4.
Well, sure, nothing's going through the Suez, so it's going around.
Yeah,
it's not a good time of year to be going around.
No, definitely not. So we're having major issues with supply at the moment for parts, and what do you do? What what do you do? And one of the bigger problems we have at the moment is things like Amazon, where people can go on Amazon and say, "Oh, well, I found this part on Amazon. Fine, buy it. We don't know where it's from. Good luck knowing how long it's going to take. Oh, I'm a Prime member, so it's going to." No, it's not, because it's not here.
Yeah.
So good luck with that. And anything that comes from America, especially over the last few weeks after all the hurricanes and everything.
Good luck.
So it's a real issue with supply. We'll see what happens. We'll see. There's a big event coming up in America which is going to affect a lot of supply chains, I think, around the world in the next few days.
Yep.
And then we'll see what way that goes. But there's not much. The American car industry, the North American car industry, Canada, America, and Mexico could be interesting if Donald Trump gets in, because I think he could do good things to protect their trade and protect their jobs and really drive manufacturing. But the problem for the rest of the world is that American cars are going to get a little bit more expensive. Also, the manufacturing of the American cars that has then been taken away from places like Mexico and other countries around the world where the labour's cheaper, they're going to need to make other things. And they might start making other cars.
Yeah, very possible.
And then you have the problem. Because then you might end up with a car that would ordinarily have been made in Europe now being made.
Well,
look at what's happening to VW. VW are closing plants.
I'm waiting for the Chinese cars to start being made in Mexico so that they can skirt the NAFTA, the free trade agreements, and find their way into the market.
Yeah.
Under different branded licensing names, technologies all coming in, maybe even parts come in.
Yeah.
Kind of assemble
it. It could be a very good time to be in the motor trade at least for the next 4 years in America. If Donald Trump gets in, it could be very good if you're in America and in Canada. But I don't know how it's going to go.
Nobody knows.
Elsewhere, it could be a problem. I mean, if VW stop making cars in Germany,
that's what they say.
We have a problem in that is a massive percentage of the.
And how could that happen?
Users.
How could that happen? But it could happen. Yeah. On that note, Glenn Power is who I've been talking to. He is the man here at PowerWorks Garage. This is the PowerWorks podcast. Glenn, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll do it all again really soon. Like us, share us, find us on YouTube, Spotify, on whatever platform you're doing that. Please give us a like and comment. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're on 100.3, WhatsApp them. Let them know what's going on. They'll share with us. Have a great day.